fantastic presentation this morning to kick everything off. I mean, there were lots of speakers giving their opinions on the future of oil and gas. Was there anything that particularly resonated for you out of what was being said this morning?
Well, I guess my theme today was that the oil and gas industry needs to embrace and get enthusiastic about decarbonisation. It's not something to be feared, it's something that we have the answers to, and we need to get involved.
And so with that in mind, I mean, what advice would you give around decarbonisation?
Well, the future for fossil fuels in a low-carbon world has to be either capturing the carbon dioxide as it comes out of the back of an engine, or separating carbon from hydrogen, putting hydrogen through the engine and burying the carbon. And either way, that involves carbon capture and storage. The UK government is just about to announce its plans for carbon capture and storage, and I'd encourage people to at least have half an eye on those, perhaps get involved in putting together one of the plans for a cluster and see if they can be part of creating a new industry. We've got the right skills.
Absolutely. I mean, for the overall oil and gas industry, the challenges, and also for Siemens itself, what do you think the next 12 to 18 months looks like?
We're at the end of a period where it's just been about survival. The oil price in the last 2 weeks has fallen a bit again. For many companies, it's about quite a hand-to-mouth existence at the moment. Somehow, you have to think beyond next week. We've heard themes today about innovation, about exporting, about going and finding new customers and going and finding new types of projects in the low-carbon economy. And all of those things, it's tough, but we've all got to do it.
Yeah, and technology plays such a huge part in that. I mean, you mentioned about digitalisation. That's a positive thing, right?
Digitalisation completely disrupts existing models, existing business models. It splits up value chains that we've understood for years and it reassembles them in a new way. And so suddenly the producer of something can talk direct to the end customer and cut out the middle person, or things happen differently in a digital world. It's going to happen, so you need to embrace it. And there are some fabulous digital tools out there to enable you to do that, to get closer to your customers and to get more value for what you're doing.
Absolutely. Now, you also mentioned that there's been 4 years of tough times for the oil industry. Is the future bright? And if so, what have been the biggest changes that you've seen?
Well, the first question I asked in my talk today was whether the audience felt that in the long run, the last barrel of oil was going to be cheap or expensive. And it was interesting, we were roughly 50-50. And there are two different operating models there. One is, in the long term, we'll just go on producing fossil fuels until it gets harder and more expensive. And the other one is that we will choose to stop using fossil fuels to do something else. Now, whichever one of those is right, there's quite a long time between now and that point. But people need to set their strategy and make the most of the opportunities in a changing world.
Absolutely. And we talked a little bit about the public attitude to air pollution and how that will change. I mean, what effects will that change really have on the industry?
I think what will happen over the next, and it's really only a couple of years, large numbers of people will start driving electric vehicles in this country, not for environmental reasons, but because they're affordable and they're cool. But once they drive those vehicles, they will get fabulously self-righteous about the car in front and the emissions coming out of the exhaust pipe of an internal combustion engine. I think we will see public attitudes to air quality dramatically change in this country over the next 3 to 5 years, and that will bring legislation. We will see low emission zones in cities. We'll see much more control about how and when and where we can burn fossil fuels.